Use our 8mm. Tighten it up, and remember that it's going into aluminum, so you don't want to over wrench that. Probably ought to use, there's some manufacturer's torque specs for that. I suggest you use them. And that does it for replacing that rail. Then we flip it over and we do the other side.
Okay, rolling.
Okay, my son said that his seat was clunking back and forth, and this one obviously wasn't all that bad, but you can see that this one is just starting to do that. So this rubber insert is probably in worse shape than the other one that we took out of the other side. Okay, so,
and action.
All right, so on this rail we had this bracket that you can see. On this one it was deep enough that we could get in and get that bolt out. This one we've got this sticking in the way, so we can't get a ratchet socket in there, so we have to take this bracket off. So we'll pop this bracket off real quick, which will give us access. If you had a super long socket, I guess you could get down through there. I'm sure the factory has one, but we don't. So we're just gonna take this one off. And put it right there. Okay, then we're going to take the same two bolts out that we needed to take out. On the other side. This is where it pays to have an extra hand. So we need an 8mm, I believe that's this one. And we'll pop these two out. So once you've done one, it gets quicker on the second one. Okay, so we got that out. Now we do the same thing we did on the last one. We need to, let's see, where was that? Oh, guess we have to take that out. Yeah, because it won't let us go forward. So, ready? We also have to take off this bracket so that we can slide the track down. So we'll just pop this off real quick. And don't mind the train. There we go. These are short little bolts, so don't lose them. Now we take and we can move this down to the point where we can see that bolt in there. And now,
okay, go ahead.
So now that we took this little bracket off, we can move this thing back and forth, okay? And we're going to move it down to the point where we can get at that bolt, that just like we did on the other side over here. So that's the one where we need to put a wrench in behind it. And I think that you can probably do that from the back here. But we'll see here quickly. Yeah, maybe we do have to take that off. I told him we
didn't on my side, on mine.
So, to get a wrench onto the, ready?
Yep.
So to get a wrench onto the back side here, we do have to take out a little screw on the plastic cover here. We didn't have it on the other side. So take that out. Take this one out. You may not have to take it off all the way. And again, your seat may be slightly different. Oh, there we go. So we don't even have to take it off all the way. We just have to take it off far enough to be able to get our wrench in here. And There it is. So we got our wrench in there, and I can't hold the wrench and do it all at the same time. Hold the head there. That's when this third hand comes in handy. We do have fun here at our shop. Okay, so there it is. Probably the hardest part will be getting that nut back onto the back side when you put it back together, but
Just leave it back there.
you'll be able to do it. Okay, so we got that out. Then all we got to do again is push this back like that. Then we can just push the screw out like that, and move the track forward. Just keep moving that piece back a little bit further. Hang on here. You gotta play a few games with it, but it will eventually come out. I'll get it. There it goes. There we go. And we slip it out just like we slipped the other one out. Okay? And the next thing we do is we measure it. So this one came out like this. We're going to measure this thing. And again, it's 7 5/8. So write that down, 7 5/8. Okay. And remember, one's a left-hand drive, one's a right-hand drive. So if you took them out simultaneously for whatever reason, you better mark which one came from which side, because they're a left and a right-hand thread. So we've got a bunch of dirty grease, and just wipe that off. Then we take this screw and we just wind it out. Little tiny bit of play in there, but not much. We've actually, when we took them out of the other vehicle that was really slopping back and forth, these were actually just shredded. But of course it took 150,000 miles for that to happen. So I think once you've replaced these one time, the car will probably, most people don't hang on to a car past 300,000 miles, so you probably never have to do this again. So just remember, there's a little peak on the top of that nut. Don't get it in upside down. So we're just going to pull that out. I'm going to turn a little light on here. Maybe that helps. Okay. And we're just going to take that out of there. We're going to drop it in the new part. And we're going to slip it right back in there. Okay, and we're going to put, if the screw's extremely dirty, you might want to clean it all up. This one isn't really all that bad, so we're just going to put it back in. Like that. And as you noticed, these parts were designed and made to fit just like the OEM parts. So if you're going to go to the trouble to do this, you might as well just go ahead and put in the part that the factory put in. Okay, so we got that screwed in there. Last thing we need to do is measure it, 7 5/8. So let me get my tape measure. And remember when you measure it that this part was up and this part was down when you measured it the last time. So we just run this out. And the reason you got to do this is because if you remember when we were showing you where the rails were in the car when we first took the seat out, you'll notice that the rails are staggered. So if you don't get these things right on the money, you'll run out of travel on your seat. You'll have all kinds of problems. So you'll never get the seat bolted back in again, in the right spot. So this is the way it goes. That was up, this was down, and we're at 7 5/8, and we're ready to put this thing right back in again. Okay, we put a little of that grease on there. If you clean that screw, you need to put some high load-bearing grease, a little moly grease or something like that would work just fine. And you don't want to grease it up too much because all it does is, like I said before, it collects a bunch of dust and dirt and grime, and you don't need that. So we can just pick out a little bit there. And that should work just fine. Okay, so it goes in with this piece facing down and this part facing up, because this gets bolted to the top track, this gets bolted to the bottom track. And we slip this in here. And just like that. Just a second here. I gotta get it past that. I can stop it for just a second. Just run it back a little bit. Okay, if you have a little trouble getting that in, you can line these holes up a little bit and then just give it a little tap, and that usually will move the screw on up to where it needs to be so you can get at it here. And Now, where is it?
You're there.
Yeah, I am. Okay. It's just that I can't pull the screw back very well.
I did it with a pair. Yeah.
Okay. So, let's see. So again, we get this screw lined up with the square drive and push it on like that. And then what should happen now is we push this thing forward and we line it up again with that hole right there. And that's where we put our bolt back in. So we get it lined up, and then we're ready to put that bolt back in. It's probably easier to do this all on a bench if you're as old as I am. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll put a little Loctite. Here's our nut, here's our bolt. Put a little Loctite on the, I don't know why that is so darn up there. We're ready to put that in. And just put it in the hole there. And like I said, this may be the hardest part, is getting the nut back on the back side, but it can be done. There we go. Okay, so there, I got the nut on the back side now, and you might have to futz with it a little bit, but there it is. And then put our wrench on there. Well, that's why I use the Torx, because they, oops, wrong Torx. You'll be able to do this job with the metrics, but you know, if you got Torx sockets, it makes the job a lot easier. There we go. So just put the cover piece back down. Put your screw back in. Drop it 3 or 4 times in the process. There we go. Okay, that one. And I'm blind. I guess that's, there we go. Screw that back down. And like I said, the different models of cars may have a slightly different arrangement, but it should be. I believe all the tracks and everything will be pretty similar. And then so we got that in place. Now what we want to do is we want to line these bolts up. See where those holes line up right there? Those 2 holes. We'll get our Loctite out. That helped. And excuse me, I put them on. I'm sorry, my mistake. They go here and here. Okay. Now we're bolting the block in. There it is. Let me get the other. Might as well get the other one on there too. And again, remember these are going into aluminum, so you know, use the manufacturer's torque recommendations. Don't want to overdo it. Strip them right out, and then you will be buying a new mechanism, and that'll be 500 bucks. Okay, so that's why, you know, you can go online, you can get all that torque information online. We'll do a final torque before we put this all in, but this will show you how it's done. Now, the only other thing left to do is to put these brackets back on. So we'll put this one back on here. Make sure you use the same bolts, because these can't be, they're a certain length, and if you use too long a bolt, you'll end up with the bolts being in the way of the screw in the track. Everything will be mucked up, so use the same bolts that came out, okay? And that's just a little bracket here to hold your connector so that, you know, you don't have to brute force this thing too badly. And then the last thing that we put on is this bracket that we took off, and this had a little Loctite on it, so put a little dab there, little dab there. You don't want to go crazy with this stuff, because if you ever have to take it apart again, you know, it'd be nice that it comes apart when you want it to. And what size were those? Those were 15 millimeter. So they get a little tough when you're going past that old Loctite. Okay, that's the problem we had last time, remember, Brent?
Mm-hmm.
When the thing spun. So, yeah, darn it. Yeah, damn it.
Did it push out?
Yeah, it pushed out. Don't know why.
So why don't you tell them what the problem is, because
Yeah.
this is common.
Okay. This is just continuing to spin. It's because the bolt is a special bolt. It gets pressed in, and it's got some little teeth that bite into the metal here on this side. It's not, hasn't got a head on it or anything else. So what you need to do is you need to get a little hammer, and what's happened is the bolt came out a little bit. It's cocked off because it I wrenched on it on one side and kind of kicked it out. So if I get a little hammer and tap it in and push on it, it should, those little teeth on the side of the bolt there should grab again, and I should be able to nut this thing down. So let me go get a little hammer to tap that in. Yeah, ready? Okay, what's happened here is, like I said, this bolt, I pulled on it, should have been a little more careful, because they're just pressed in, okay? And I essentially have unpressed it. So if you're careful taking the nuts off, and you're careful not to pull on one side when you're putting them back on, you won't have to do this. But what I'm doing is I'm putting on a puller, what they call a gear puller, and
Let me get a backside shot.
and I need to get the right size wrench for it. What I'm trying to do is push the that bolt back in where it was pressed before. So what I do is, if I put this on here, I can push it back in. That got it straightened out, and now I can get the teeth on that side are engaged again, and now the nuts are going down. I think maybe not. Shoot. What did I do? Not get it on the bolt? I can't see in there. Is it on the bolt?
Mm-hmm.
Is it not centered? Well, you have to unscrew it. Right there. Did it stay in there? Yeah. Okay, let's see if I can get this damn thing to... It's just spinning. God damn, put this on. I'm just pulling it in right now.
Mm-hmm.
So. There, I pulled it in. Was that one spinning? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Okay, so got that on there. Put this one on. Hope this one goes on. Yep. There we go. Okay, so that does this side. So we're good to go. We're going to do the final torques and then throw it back in. So if you've done this yourself, you just saved yourself yourself $500 from taking it to the dealership and getting it fixed. And we can get you all set up to do this yourself, and it costs you 20 bucks in parts, essentially the two little rubber inserts that wear out. Okay, so now we're just gonna have Brent pick up the seat here. We're gonna take it, he's gonna put it in, and he's gonna set it down. Yeah, I almost got it right first time. You're about, there it is. Okay, so I got it on the pin there. Everything is, hope you can see that. And all we have to do is put the bolts back in, put the little covers on, and we're done. Okay, the last thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get in there. You're going to want to, don't forget to put your connectors back on. So you can only put them on one way. And you put the yellow one on, and then put your little pin through. Yeah, just goes right through the little slot right there. And keeps it from backing out. And you're good to go. So let me zoom in on that, and that's what it, oh, I'm sorry about that. It didn't quite focus. There we go. So pins in, everything's in, and we can give the seat a quick little run back. There it goes. Everything's working fine.
Go forward so I can get.
Okay, so now we're going to move that seat forward so you can get the bolt in the back right here. And we're going to drop it right down in the hole. And I'll have to grab you a wrench. Got the other one in over there. Put that little retainer clip back on. Okay, the retainer clip's back on the pin. And so we'll nut those down, and then we'll move the seat back, and we'll put the bolts in the front. And you probably don't want to tighten them all down completely until you get all 4 bolts in, so you know, you can give yourself some play to get those things to so now we'll move the seat back. And we're ready to put these front nuts on. So okay, there we go. Probably the hardest part is just getting it down in there to work on it. You probably need the 3-inch drive, huh? Instead, oh, okay, because you got the wobble. That's it. Now, if it looks like he's not straight up and down on that thing, he isn't, and the reason he's able to do that is because it has a wobble drive on it, okay? So you don't have to be straight in a line with it. Okay. Okay, now you can torque them up. Again, my disclaimer is torque everything to manufacturer specs and you can't go wrong. So you move the seat forward and you go back and you can tighten those back ones down. And one more. And then all we got to do is put our plastic cover back over. And that one went over that one right there. I took it off, but he's got to put it back on. Okay, so there we go. And then we got one more plastic cover for the front. The other plastic cover in, and that's a little factory white little speck of paint on there, and the job's done, and you save yourself $500. Okay, this is what you're going to need to fix the seat on your car. And really, you probably may not need all of these things, but I've got a set right here of Torx sockets. You don't have to have the Torx sockets, but you know, there are Torx head bolts in there, and it's just nice to have them. I have a lot of tools, so I had a set of Torx, and they come in handy. You'll need a set of deep sockets, American standards. You'll need the deep socket and metric. You'll need a couple of extensions. If you have wobble extensions, that's great. You need a set of wrenches. Probably out of the set, you're only going to need, I think, 2 or 3. And some are American, some are metric, so you know, you might need the other American set of wrenches too, but for the most part I found that it's metrics. And then you might need an extra hand. Okay, so make sure you've got that extra hand. And other than that, oh yeah, and the Permatex blue, which is the medium strength thread locker, a couple of screwdrivers, and a couple of pairs of pliers. And when you get into this thing, just remember, you know, when you're trying to put that screw back in and engage it into the little drive mechanism there, the drive spring, you might have to just futz with that for a little bit. It's you know, push the slide back and forth until you finally get it all slid into place. You know, I've done this twice now, so I kind of knew what to expect, and I got it all done, and I made it kind of look fairly simple. And sometimes it all slides together, you know how that goes, and sometimes it don't. So I hope that you don't have too much trouble with it. You really shouldn't. And you know, just refer to this video, run it back and forth, whatever you got to do, and I'll put a link with this video to buy the little rubber inserts that go around the nut. That's really the key to making the good repair. And again, you know, if you can put in what was at the factory. I think that's your best bet. Okay, so that's it. Good luck to you guys. Bye-bye. And these are the new parts you'll need. These are actually factory reproduction parts. Same shore hardness as the original factory parts. As you probably know, your factory parts lasted you about 150,000 miles. So, you know, if you make this repair one time and use these parts, you'll probably get another 150,000 miles and probably be dead like me before you wear out the next set of parts. So anyway, these are the new rubber parts that you'll need. Yeah, you'll need 2 of these per seat. So if you just do your driver's seat, you'll just need these 2. If you're going to do your driver's seat and your passenger seat, you'll need a total of 4.